Hello, hello. Today we are going to talk about security or safety instead of striving. Okay. So if you have ever thought, I just need to try harder, do you know how many times I hear that? Do you know how many times I have said that? But if that is you, if you are thinking, I just need to try harder, I just need to do more, I just need to fix myself, then this is your invitation to stop. Not because you're giving up, not because you can't hack it, but because you are ready to actually transform. You are ready to shift the spiral and transform the right way, the healthy way, the way to freedom. You are going to shift out of striving and shift into security, into safety from the inside out. Okay. We're going to unpack that today. So, many of you know my story. Before I became a coach, I ran very successful martial arts schools. And I remember this one night. It was right as our martial arts schools were exploding. We had gotten into several of the elementary schools, and students were just coming in by the dozens, right? And I remember having this 100 plus person class. It was a beginner class, right? And it was over 100 people. And there were ages from 3 all the way to 73. And I would take the littles and my husband would take the bigs. And it was so loud and it was so overwhelming. And we did it at least twice a week. And I just remember after that class one night, I remember sitting on the counter and looking at my husband and just saying, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. And I remember thinking that, but nothing actually changed, right? That was really just one of the signs as I'm looking back on this rat wheel that I was on. And so fast forward a little bit, right? Like those were some of the first signs that belief system continued and it went on for years and the schools just got bigger and bigger and the rat wheel just went faster and faster. And so fast forward many, many years, right? Many, many burnout and staff walkout and all the things. I remember sitting in therapy and I remember as I was working with my counselor, I remember my counselor telling me and challenging my beliefs, right? And I remember thinking, wait a minute. I don't even remember what the conversation was about, but I remember thinking, wait a minute. I can take a nap. Like I have permission to take a nap. And I remember leaving that office and I could have done cartwheels. For the first time, I just remember that it was okay, like this gleam of hope, this open window of wait a minute, this isn't the only way, this isn't there's another option, there's hope, there's a possibility of freedom, I have choice, I can say no, like I don't have to carry all of this weight. And it was just this opening that I was like, wow, that's amazing. And so I went home and I took a nap. And you know what? That nap, I really do believe was the moment of breakthrough, like this first little itty bitty moment of breakthrough, this first challenge, this first shift, right? I'm going to talk about spiral a lot and how we're spiraling tighter or spiraling looser. We're getting more rigid or we're getting more open and free. And so the moment I stopped trying to prove that I was enough was actually when I finally started to believe that I was. And that was powerful. And it all happened through a nap, believe it or not, right? So I want you to unpack, I want to help you unpack the lie versus the truth a little bit that this trying harder spirals us into and just tightens us tighter and tighter into less freedom, even though it's counterintuitive, it's countercultural for sure. So the lie is you'll finally be enough if you just do more. And yours tweak that a little bit for you. It might be a little bit different for you, but to some extent that's typically the lie. And you know what? I have coached a lot of women, and ultimately, while it might look a little different, it all comes down to that, right? Like I'll finally be enough if I do more or if, right, I can catch this certain level. Then it'll be enough, right? But the truth is, and I know you know this, but hear me, like I want this to really penetrate a little deeper today. You are already enough, right? Like God's love isn't conditional. It's not conditional on if anything, you already are enough. It's already done, right? Like it's finished. It's done. You are already enough. And so I want you, I'm going to kind of unpack some of the tools that I use in my coaching program, the Journey to Personal Freedom. And I want to just introduce you to a little bit. I want you to consider your if then statement, okay? And an if then statement is like an inner contract that you have made with yourself, right? That you need to break off, that needs to be broken, okay? Trying harder feels noble. I know. Our culture says it. Maybe there was like this unconscious programming, right? Like in your childhood that trying harder, working harder, right? Like doing all the things feels noble, but it's often just fear in disguise, right? That like hustle, that grind, that go, 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 that like a low grade anxiety, right? Like high functioning anxiety. That is often, right? Like, but that feeling, it's just fear in disguise. It's shame that's wearing a productivity badge. Okay. So let's get that straight. Let's get that right. We all know this on one level, but I want to really help you with some practical tools on how to start unraveling that a little bit. And also for you to be able to start to see when you are shifting tighter into that trying hard lie, right? That performance, that earning lie versus how we actually undo it, okay? So, let's talk about the if then statement, right? The if then concept. I want to give you a couple examples, okay? Here's some that I hear. If I stay on top of everything, or if I keep it all together, if I have it all together, then I'm a good mom, or I'm a good leader, or I'm a good boss, or I'm a good person, whatever it is. Do you see how there's these conditions? If insert whatever the lie is for you, right? Like if I do more, right? Or if I have it all together, another one is like, if I keep my house perfect, right? Then I'm worthy of rest. Do you see how it's conditional? Here's another one. If I push through, right? So many times it looks like discipline, but if I push through, then I'm being faithful. How many times does that sound? That sounds good, right? It sounds noble. It sounds like a good Christian. But is that coming? Where is that coming from? Usually, right? It's fear in disguise. The enemy just takes this good idea and twists it just like 1 degree off, and the trajectory is completely different. So I want you to let me know in the comments which of those, what's your if then statement? That's going to be one of your action steps, one of those challenges that I challenge you to do today. What is your if then statement? If you were to really hone in on if I, some form of doing more, being more productive, hit a certain level, then I'll be enough. I'll be worthy. I can rest. I'll have peace. I'll be happy. What is your if then statement? Okay. And I want you to identify that if then statement. And then I want you to ask, is this actually true? Like, where does that come from? And I tell my clients so many times, right? It's about the motivation underneath it. Is it coming from fear, or is it coming from love? Do you feel this need to like have to, or do you feel this abundance to get to? Those, are you running to something, or are you running from something, right? Like, are you running from the bear, aka fear, or are you running right towards God? Are you running towards freedom? I want you to really sit with these things and sit with the Lord with these things too, right? Like, if it were up to our own brains, right, we probably would have been able to identify this a long time ago. But ask the Lord, right? Like, what is the truth here? What is the lie here? What is that? Because it's usually like nuanced, right? It's usually these like slim differences, right? I love the verse, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but where basically like the word of God is sharper than any double-edged sword, right? It can cut between soul and spirit. It can help us identify this 1% difference. And that is really the beautiful thing. That is the power, because that little shift makes all the difference. Okay. So I want you to identify it. I want you to ask if it's true, okay? And I want you to ask where it came from. And then I want you to challenge it, okay? I don't know about you, but I'm a type A human. Most of the women that follow me are type A humans, right? And even if you don't consider yourself type A, you probably have a lot of these same tendencies, okay? And so I want you to challenge it. We like a challenge, don't we? I love a challenge. I love just to dig in. I love to challenge stuff. And so I want you to challenge this with grace, okay? I want you to take one small action to actually prove that the opposite is true. So let me give you an example, okay? Like go take a nap. Just like in my story. I want you to, if you don't think that you can take a nap and you have a gazillion reasons why you can't take a nap, those are probably tied to your if then statement. They're probably tied to some conditions, right? And I want you to challenge those conditions, right? Like maybe you're saying, if I take a nap, then I'm not going to get all the stuff done. Then I'm going to let people down. I want you to challenge it with grace, right? Because ultimately, what you're challenging is this idea that you're not enough. And I want you to prove that you are enough and that your value is not attached to how much you can do, how much you can get done, how productive you can be. Okay. And so, whatever it is, if you need to leave the dishes in the sink tonight, I want you to challenge this idea that you have to. Anytime you're feeling this like just low grade anxiety and this you can't sit still, right? And you need to go or do and all the checklists, you gotta check all the things off. Challenge it. Whatever you are feeling like you have to do, I want you to challenge it, okay? Take a nap, leave the dishes, ask for help, okay? Whatever it is for you, and if there's something coming up, let me know in the comments, okay? Because it's probably actually I'm fairly certain that you're not going to be the only one that has that thought, that has that thing that you're clinging to for your value, right? And let some of the other people know when you let people know in the comments, other people, right? It gives them a community. Like, oh my goodness, I'm not the only one, and there is power in that. Okay, I will tell you when you start to do this, you are actually shifting out of the trying harder lie. Okay, when you start to challenge even these baby steps, when you challenge out of this grit, right? And this like this have to, and you start to allow yourself some grace. You allow yourself to be open. You allow yourself off the hook. All of those things, right? You're actually shifting out of what would like be shame, right? That gets us so tight. If I work harder, the rat wheel, right? Like if I work harder, if I do more, if I, it just actually um just winds us up even tighter, and you don't have a lot of freedom, right? It's very rigid, it's very, and it comes out on all the people around you. But when you can actually start to relax and you can be safe and you can feel secure in the fact that you are already enough and that God loves you no matter what. Like there's nothing that you can do or not do that's going to change his love for you. Then that's actually how you shift, right? You're undoing, and you actually have a little bit more freedom. You actually have more openness. And it's going to be so powerful. I can tell you this, just as you start to do these things, you're going to start to recognize early signs of misalignment, right? Like when I first started doing this, it was so countercultural for me. I had so many years of evidence, right? Those neural pathways in my brain were so well worn on this lie, right? That it felt so uncomfortable to actually give myself grace. I had all the lies. And so just little baby steps. You're going to actually be able to recognize when you're out of alignment, when you're doing things out of fear versus out of love, right? You're going to be able to notice that a lot earlier. You're going to be more present. You're going to be more peaceful. You're actually going to be more powerful in your purpose because you are going to be able to understand and feel and discern when you're in alignment and when you're not. You are going to have less hustle and a whole lot more spirit led alignment, being aligned up with God. It reminds me of the tortoise versus the hare, right? Like the tortoise may have been fast, right? Wait, the hare. The hare may have been fast, but he didn't finish, right? So many times we go, and then we burn out and we're like on the side of the road, right? And then we go, and we're burnt out on the side of the road. And I don't know about you, but that even if you do finish, you're not going to be in good shape when you finish, right? Like that is not a fun race. But yet, right, the tortoise, he just kept going, right? Slow and steady wins the race. when we get into alignment like this, when we can really start to shift via our if then statements, and we can start to challenge these lies and challenge these conditions, right? That we think God's love is conditional and that our value is conditional. When we can start to challenge that, I tell you what, it is like right now, you might be feeling like you're on a rowboat. Okay, you are doing everything in your own power, in your own strength, being you're operating out of fear. But when you really are able to discern and get into this alignment, right, of really allowing God to work through you, it is like shifting from a rowboat to a motorboat. I am I am living evidence that this is true. And I have lots of clients, right? I don't know about you, but I would much rather be on a motorboat. It is exhilarating, it is freeing, it is fun, okay? Versus doing all of this in just striving and in your own power. So I want you to think about surrender, not as giving up, okay? Like it's going to feel like you're giving up, giving yourself grace, letting yourself off the hook, going and taking a nap, challenging some of these things. They're so counterintuitive to how your neural pathways are already have already been worn, and it's so countercultural to what people are telling us and what our culture expect, like in the Western world, how countercultural this is. So it's going to be a challenge. I understand. Believe me, I understand, and I this is why I'm so passionate about walking with people, walking with you through this, okay? But I want you to think about surrender not as weakness, not as giving up. In fact, it is the opposite. Here's one of those counterintuitive things again. Surrender is actually one of the most bravest things you can do. It is where courage comes from. It is, I would argue, more powerful to trust and surrender, right? And to depend on God, to really believe that you are enough when everything else in this world and maybe even in your own brain are telling you otherwise. That takes true bravery. That takes real courage. And so if you're up for the challenge, let me know in the comments. All right. I want you to say, like, I am in, I am ready to challenge this. Like, let's do this. Okay. And even if you're thinking it in your brain, put it out there. There is power in actually putting it out there. In some way, there's kind of like this external accountability. Don't worry, I'm not going to like come after you and ask you, like, how are you doing with this? But just the act for yourself of actually saying, yes, I'm in, putting it in the comments, there's power in that. Okay, I want to bring this full circle, okay? God's love is not transactional. It's not conditional. Okay? So many times I think God is like, listen, I love you. There's nothing else. Like I cannot love you anymore. I cannot love you any less. Like but we are the ones that have this belief. We have to let ourselves off the hook, okay? He is not waiting for you to get it all right. He is not waiting for you to get it all together, okay? I think you are probably the one holding him at arm's length, right? Whether it's because of shame or whether it's because of this, like you feel like you have to earn it, you don't feel like you're worthy of it. He's like, oh no, let me in. He's not going to force himself in, but he's probably just like, oh, let me in. I want to do this with you. I want to hold you as you take a nap. He's already called you good. He's already called you beloved. He's already called you chosen before you even lifted a finger. I tell my clients this many times. I say, you know what? Whether you do or not do for the rest of your life, like that is not related at all to your value. And if that challenges you, good. If that challenges you, that is probably one of the lies that you get to start rooting out. Okay, I'm going to say it again, right? Whether you do a thing or never do another thing, it is not related to how valuable you are to him, to how much he loves you. Now, of course, does he ask us, right, you know, does he give us stuff to do? Does he like, of course, but that's not the first priority, right? It has to be built from the inside out. It has to be built from this deep belief, this security, and this safety of knowing that whether you do or don't do another thing, right? Your value is not connected to that. And your lovability, right, is not connected to that. You've been trying to earn what's already yours, and it is time to just receive it. I often use this example. You know, have you ever, this is mom life, hashtag mom life. So many times I have my sunglasses on my head, or let's be honest, sometimes I even have my keys or my phone in my hand, right? And I am like looking around the house trying to get in the car so I can go, and I'm looking for my phone or I'm looking for my keys or I'm looking for my sunglasses, and they're already there. I already have them, right? And here I am like working around frantic. Isn't that the same thing? That is such a parallel of what we're doing. Okay, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to get it together. I got to check all these lists off. I'm doing all these things for God. I got to do all these things to be enough, right? Whether that's consciously or unconsciously for you right now. And he's just saying, hey, you've already got it. Like, you're already enough. You've already got all the things you need. The keys are right there. The phone's right there. The sunglasses are right there. Like, your value is already here. Let's stop looking for it outside. Let's stop trying to earn it. Okay. All right. I want to finish with this. Okay. I really love to be a practical coach. So here are your next steps, okay? And you let me know in the comments what you're taking the next step on, or if you're going to take all the next steps, okay? Number one, I want you to identify your if then statement, okay? And I will help you flip it. DM me, all right? I'll send you a voice message and I will help you challenge and flip the if then statement. Because if you're anything like me and if you're anything like a lot of my clients, when they first start my program or they first start working with me, it feels so like a lie. The truth actually feels like a lie, right? Like it is really hard. You need another brain to help you shed light on it and say, no, that's actually not true. That is something in your neural pathways right now, right? So DM me, okay, your if then statement, and I will help you flip it. Or even for just external accountability, DM me your if then statement and how you flipped it. Okay. Like I love watching the shift off the rat wheel into freedom. Number two, comment love. Okay. If you want to go deeper in this idea on how to let yourself off the hook, on how to give yourself grace. If you're anything like me, I grew up in the church and I knew all the answers in my brain, but I didn't actually know how to practice them. And until you actually practice them, I like to say that the shift from your head to your heart is through action and through experience and through challenging, right? Like challenging these beliefs so that the truth actually gets really rooted deep in your heart. So comment love, okay? And I will send you I have a 4-part short and sweet video series on how to change the relationship with yourself. And it's really how to be your own best friend, how to start to receive compassion and self-forgiveness and self-acceptance. Because you know what? If you're anything like me, right? I knew that God had forgiven me, but I was the one that hadn't forgiven me yet. I knew that God was showing me compassion, but I didn't know how to show myself compassion. I didn't know how to accept myself. Like, I didn't know how to do all that stuff. And so I actually had to start shifting the relationship in myself before I could actually receive everything that I knew on a head level. So that's your second one. Comment love. Okay. If you would like me to send you that free resource, it's a 4-part video series, super short and sweet. I think every video is like under 10 minutes. And then if you need help learning to live from this safety, this knowing that you're enough, this just security and contentment in who you are without getting your value and your security from how much you can do, all right, then let's talk. This is exactly how I help women in my program, The Journey to Personal Freedom. And I would be happy, I would be honored to chat with you more about how my program can help you. All right, let me know in the comments what were your takeaways. Let me know the challenges that you're taking on, okay? And I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.